Hi, hello everyone. This is Shanmugaraj. Welcome to my channel, which is AgileBizLeaders. This is an initiative to build a global knowledge sharing platform in the domains of agile project management and leadership and AI as well. Right? So you can help me to improve the reach of this channel either by listening to it or interacting with me or sharing my videos to our friends who are in need of it, right? So having said that, let us get into today's video. We are continuing our a journey on PMBOK8 series. This video is going to talk about the foundation elements of project management, the second part. So in my previous video I talked about a couple of foundational elements, right? We talked about project value creation, right, and governance linkage. So in this video we're going to talk about project management versus operations, and we are going to discuss about the hierarchical relationships. So let's try to differentiate operations and project management. Each has distinct roles and goals by itself, right? So let's try to understand what is the core focus, right? So it is focusing on efficient and effective production of products and services, utilizing the optimal resources to the meet customer demand, right? We talked about the project, right? It has a value delivery, but when it comes to operations, right, it's focusing on efficacy and effectiveness of it, right? How do I utilize the optimal resources to the meet the customer demand, right? And it manages the ongoing process that transforms inputs to the outputs, right? In an IT industry, right, additionally the production support projects can be considered as an operation where there are a lot of tickets will be coming to you and you'll be utilizing resources and solve those problems and move on, right? So the operations are ongoing and repetitive, which is about running the business, where the project management is a temporary and unique in nature, right? So both has core focus, both has a transformation process, but the distinction is operations are ongoing and repetitive, the project management is temporary and unique, right? You can consider any development project as a project, you can consider any support projects as an operations, right? So changes in business operations such as new service offerings are often the focus of a project, right? For example, you are starting a new service offerings in your company, that's going to be a new project. If you're managing existing operations, that will be more become of operations. So let's try to understand the intersection points where projects meet operations. So there is an intersection when developing a new products or services, or upgrading the offerings, or expanding the output capacity, right? And whenever there is a process improvement, there is an intersection while improving the product delivery operations or the development process itself. So every end of a project life cycle, right, that's called retirement, you may hand over your product to an operations team. Whenever there is a closeout of a phase or iteration, you can hand over to the operations teams. So generally there is a handover between project and operations. Whenever you complete the product development and complete the product, move on to the operations. That is a normal procedure, right? Handing over from the project to an operations, right? So these points represent the critical moments where the project teams and operation teams must collaborate to avoid service disruptions. So whenever there is intersection between project and operation, there is always a transition and knowledge transfer, right? What to transfer? So you can deliver your deliverables when human resources and knowledge are transferred between the project and operations. The transfer aims to ensure the seamless integration of project outcomes into an organizational framework. So implementing involves transferring the project resources to operations. Maybe you have 10 resources, maybe working in a project. You'll be, moving at least 20% of the resources to the operations, right? So you can move operational resources into the project for the expertise as well. You can do it both ways as well, right? So generally, most of the times, whenever you complete a project and the project handing over to the operations, the smaller portion of the project resources will move into the operations so that the integration will be the seamless, right? So the engaging operating teams early in the project planning significantly influences the long-term success and sustainability. So as a project manager, you should know how to plan your handover, when and where you need operation team leaders at least to be involved in your milestones. You would understand that you have to do that very intelligently and cleverly. So we are done with that differentiation of operations and project management. Now let's try to look at the fourth foundational element of project management is the project hierarchy. All right, for aligning your work to a strategic goal. So generally a company or a organization may have at least three levels of execution. The top level or highest level could be the portfolio, so which is a collection of programs and projects and operations managed as a group to maximize overall value delivery and achieve strategic objectives. The second level is the program, where a group of related projects managed in a coordinated manner to obtain the benefits and synergies which is not available from managing them individually. The third level could be your project, a temporary initiative that creates unique deliverables. So it can be standalone or part of a program or a portfolio, right? So there is a value chain among these three. So this hierarchy ensures that project execution is strategically aligned from portfolio planning down to the project's tasks. Is there interdependence between or among portfolio, program and project? Yes, answer is yes, because you're going to share the resources. You need to have a coordinated governance, right? So portfolios, programs and projects and operation often engage the same stakeholders and compete for the same resources, right? Human, financial and physical, right? Then there is a competition risk, right? Is an overlap and resource competition can significantly threaten the organizational strategic objectives if it is not managed holistically, right? So portfolio planning impacts all the components through prioritization based on risks, funding and expected performance, right? If you remove a funding certain portion of a funding of a portfolio, you may need to eliminate certain projects or operations within our portfolio, right? So definitely you need a coordinated governance that requires portfolio and program and project managers to work with operational leaders to maintain a balanced approach to resource allocation and stakeholder engagement. So this picture talks about framework for managing the portfolios, programs and projects and operations, right? So let's look at, imagine that you are running an organization, right? So our organization has external environment, right? Our customer, the government, the federal, the bank systems, the ecosystem, all these called external environment. Then you have an internal environment within our organization, right? Then you define within the internal environment, you define a system for value delivery, right? So that is the purpose of this organizational strategies, right? Then system of value delivery flows from portfolio to program to projects, right? So all these portfolio and program and projects may be part of your product delivery mechanism as well. And then your operations, right? Handing over from projects, programs to the operations. So that is also part of your internal environment. So this how a typical organization looks like, when it operate at the different levels. So this table talks about what are the different aspects at which the portfolios and programs and projects are, either intersecting or deviating by itself, right? So we already defined, we already discussed about the definition and scope of it actually. So let's look at the planning aspect of it in each one actually, right? So the portfolios is a strategic planning, right? So priority definition. So it will help you the resource allocation across programs and projects. So if you look at programs, a high-level planning that tracks interdependencies and aligns with the program objectives. But when it comes to projects, right, the planning mostly into predictive, predictive, adaptive, or hybrid planning based on the project context, right? So if you look at monitoring, the portfolios are generally monitor the strategic changes and resource allocation at the portfolio level. If you look at programs, they take care of the monitoring the interdependencies, and then benefit realization, right? But if you look at the project, MNC is generally on outputs and value, right? So then how do you measure the success of each, right? To measure the portfolio success, you need to measure through a strategic value delivery, right? You can use your OKRs, right? And similarly for programs, you need to measure using the benefits, right, to achieve the strategic objectives. To measure the success of the projects, it's generally measured through the delivered outputs and outcomes, right, including your quality, timelines, and stakeholder satisfaction. So with this, we come to the conclusion of this particular video. So this particular video discussed about the second part of the foundations of project management. We discussed about the differences between the operations management and project management, and we also discussed about the hierarchical model, how an organization can execute the portfolios and programs and the projects, right? I hope this particular video would have helped you to understand the foundation elements. Not only this video, the previous one and this one together would have given a better picture about the foundation elements of the project management, right? So with that, I'm signing off. See you in next video.